Dear Esther, I sometimes feel as if I have given birth to this island. Somewhere between the longitude and the latitude, a split opened up and beached remotely here. No matter how hard I correlate, it remains in singularity, an alpha point in my life that refuses all hypotheses. I return each time, leaving fresh markers that I hope, in full glare of my hopelessness, will have blossomed into fresh insight in the interim. Welcome guys to Volooodya's toybox, and today I am playing Dear Esther. It's a remake of the game of the same name on the Steam engine, and it's not very much of a game, but an experience and an insight of the old man's thoughts as he's walking the island he and his lover used to go together. Now that she is probably dead, he goes around the island, remembering, talking to himself, thinking of all the good times he and his good wife had together. And now that she's gone, he's all alone in this world. Maybe this island even isn't really here. Maybe it's like projection of his sadness and his loneliness. The island that seemingly used to be occupied by people, but now it's deserted and everyone dead, apparently. Or maybe people just escaped from here because something bad happened, and maybe this island isn't real, as I've said. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbans to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becoming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbans would be a fitting contemporary refugee for a hermit, the revolution and the permanence. He and his wife Esther used to have a really good time here, walking down this path, talking to all the people, just ridden lonely by the week's afternoon sunlight. He landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay, and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed and incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered momentarily how to descend, but then he didn't have my reasons. So, yeah, they had a very good time here. Now that he's all alone, he came here when someone had died, or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice. They cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. With the right eyes you could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence took the cliff path died along with its hosts. My lands are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh. He came here with the intention of dying, at the only place he can think of. This place that is all about Esther for him. And now that she's dead, he doesn't want to live anymore. The light has left his life. We are not like Lot's wife, you and I. We feel no particular need to turn back. There's nothing to be seen if we did. No tired old man parting the cliffs with his arms. No gifts or bibbles laid out in the sand for the taking. No tight stone or the shrieking gulls overhead. The bones of the hermit are no longer laid out for the taking. I have stolen them away to the guts of the island, where the passages all run to black, and there we can light each other's faces by their strange luminescence. So yeah, this place, it's just a memory of Esther for him, and he doesn't want to live without her. So he came here, where he used to have this good time with Esther, and he wants to die here in peace with himself and with his memories, because there's nothing else for him to live. Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and loosened by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he had already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. And this is the cave where he and his wife used to paint using the fluorescent paint. And this is the drawing the Esther did, because she was a chemistry teacher, and the old man doesn't really know what this is, because he doesn't know chemistry, and she told him once, but he doesn't remember anymore. And he used to be a painter in his previous life, before she died. That's why he painted all this weird stuff. But I should be gone. I just want to visit every place that is associated with Esther before I die. And then I will finally find my peace. And I will be able to rest forever, knowing that now I shall be with Esther again, and no one will make us part, not even death, because we will be dead already. And in death we shall find peace. We used to dream that we will have little kids. I have become convinced I am not alone here, even though I am equally sure it's simply a delusion brought upon my circumstance. I do not, for instance, remember where I found candles, or why I took it upon myself to light such a strange pathway. Perhaps it's only for those who are bound to follow. So yeah, we used to dream we will have little kids, and we will settle on this island. And every day we shall take a walk here, and our little kids will be playing in this little stream, and everyone will be happy, and we will be laughing, and no one will ever be sad. But that didn't happen, because soon Esther fell ill. Doctor said it was a cancer, and I always told her she should stop smoking because she will eventually have lung cancer, but she told that it wouldn't happen to her, and in the end she died of it. And it's kind of cruel, but it's a life. In the same drawing Esther did. She wanted our first child. She wanted boy to call him Christopher, and she hoped he would be a chemist because she was a chemistry teacher. And she also wanted a little girl called Mary, and she hoped she will be a writer. I guess it won't happen. Not anymore. Now it's just me, and the memory of Esther, and the spirits of our unborn children. Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times, but although I have all the reports and all the witnesses and have cross-referenced them within a millimeter using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sandford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore. Now that the old man is all alone, he is dreaming. He's remembering all the times he spoke to his wife, like that little conversation about searching for location. It was a little motel they stopped by when they were returning from the holiday one day, and it was really nice, and it was relatively cheap, and they had very good time there. And the master of the motel was a very nice person. And this is a ship that crashed because this island doesn't like ships, because they tend to sink and the oil spills into the sea, killing fish and everyone. I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech got blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered to pack by the car of a drunk. The man is clearly rambling. Maybe he doesn't even know if this island is real or not, because sometimes he speaks of a writer called Donnelly who visited the island, but at the other times he says that his kidney stones are the parts of this island, so maybe it's just a manifestation of his melancholy. I have begun my ascent on the windless slope on the western side. The setting sun was inflamed eyes squeezing shut against the lights thrown in by the doctors. My neck is aching through constantly craning my head up to track the light of the aerial. I must look downwards, follow the path under the island to a new beginning. And this is where we wanted to live with our kids. In this little house. We wanted to buy a lot of furniture and we wanted to have a grandpa clock. And the boat was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding has formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jacobson, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building a body, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly reckoned that he did not walk. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. My heart is landfill. These false dawns waken into whilst it is still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I have always heard the waves break on into these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music. So, this is the place, the remains of the place we wanted to live. We didn't have much time to buy stuff. It's why it looks like this. But if we had more time, it would be very nice and cozy in here. But I guess it doesn't really matter now. This is the picture of a cancer in her lungs. You probably can't see it because it was one of the first pictures when the cancer wasn't that big. And this is the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony she used to play because she played very, very good. And it is a history book. We wanted our children to know the history very good and to somehow mark the place. We drew this on the wall, kinda like in the Egypt. So no one else but we will come here. No one will try to rob our house. Not that there are a lot of people here, but we didn't want to risk. Now this is all deserted. Probably the island, the secret of this island will die with me. Perhaps I am the only person living who knows about this island. There used to be 2 of us. Jacobson's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton and the scattered probe, a false and calcified seabird. There used to be 2 of us knowing about the secret island. Me and Esther. They found Jacobson in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. His fingernails were raw and beaten to the quick. They found the phosphorescent mold that grows in the caves deep under the nails. Whatever he'd been doing under the island when his strength began to fail is lost. He'd struggled halfway up the cliff again, perhaps in a delirium, perhaps trying to reach the Balthis fire, before curling into a stone and expiring. The Jacobson and this boat are all the signs that the island only accepts few people, those who can understand its nature, its beauty, and its sadness. Climbing down the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves. Winter tides again my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggle back to the boulder to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way that is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler had suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent. There appears to be someone else on this island. Maybe. I don't think I can survive falling down here. And I can't go up. So I guess it's through the rabbit hole.